Should we start, Andy?
Yep.
Yeah. Hi.
1 second. Sir, sorry. I think Praveen Garu, can you also hit the record?
It is already getting recorded on YouTube. Yeah, you can
Okay.
start.
Perfect.
Hi. Good morning, America, and good morning, India, and hello to everyone around the world. This is from JNTUH. We conduct periodic webinars, and this has on a popularity basis. We select good topics and good speakers. And without taking much time, I want to welcome Sushma Mathur and JNTUH-AA Pandey, who are eminents in their topics chosen. And I'm looking forward, all of you will enjoy it and it will be useful for all of you. Both are eminent speakers in their particular fields, and they're all very sought after topics, which is necessary for everybody. And with this, I do not want to stand before speakers, and I want them to start. Naveen, just back to you, everything.
Okay. So thank you, Vishwa Garu, and good afternoon, good evening, and good morning from wherever you have joined in. And after successfully launching many webinars last year, this is our very first webinar in 2024, and we are excited to bring you 2 more speakers today. And I would like to welcome the first speaker, Sushma Mathur. She is a distinguished corporate lawyer and brings over 19 years of expertise in corporate law, startups, and mergers and acquisitions, and a graduate of Sriram College of Commerce, which is popularly known as SRCC, and a fellow member of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India, which is ICSI. She holds a law degree from Delhi University and specializing in corporate restructuring and transaction documents. Sushma advises on diverse legal matters, including joint ventures, regulatory compliance, and private equity investments, and serves as a legal advisor to the Student Incubation Cell, IIT Delhi, and the board of Pramanit Foundation, focusing on education, employment, and entrepreneurship. And she is here to unleash the legal aspects of setting up businesses in India by NRIs. And I think this is most coveted topic, which most of our folks who has joined from rest of the world are expecting. So with that, I would like to hand over this session to Sushma. Hearty welcome, Sushma, and over to you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Naveen, so much. Good morning and good evening, everyone. I'm Sushma Mathur, corporate lawyer and representing my law firm BMC Advisors. Before we get into the presentation mode, just want to thank especially Naveen and JNTU for giving us this opportunity to be with all of you and share our perspective. So without wasting time, Vidushi, can we share the screen, please? Yeah, so one of the, I would say, all-time favorite topic is investment in India. Everyone knows that India is an attractive destination for investment, thanks to so many unicorns that we keep on hearing that are actually adding day by day, who are keeping the faith alive. And also, indeed, there are many startup companies who have also given many-fold returns on the investment. So that's why India remains always as one of the favorite destination. Speaking from personal experience, as far as NRIs are concerned, so we are advising many clients who are NRIs, non-residents, startups also, and we represent all of them depending upon the deal. So what at least I have personally witnessed is that in every investment deal which is happening across in all sectors, starting from the seed stage till series B, I would say, pre-series A, series A, even series B level also, we have seen NRIs investing in individual capacity. So it's not like only big venture capital firms funds are investing or private equity funds are investing. Even the NRIs are investing in various rounds. And the segment is actually all across, be it fintech, property tech, carbon emission, climate change, education. There's so many sectors. So we thought that we'll throughout this presentation, we'll give you a broad idea as to how the businesses, or especially the startup world, operates in India, and what are the limitations NRIs they face, or the challenges they face, and how to navigate those challenges. Next slide. Who is NRI? Of course, it's need no elaboration. We can move on to the next one. Yes. So just give me a second. Yeah. So before we delve into the various challenges, let us understand that what are the routes through which an NRI can invest in India. So the investment could be in the form of repatriation basis or non-repatriation basis. In October 2019, earlier there were many regulations, guidelines through which FDI in India was regulated. But now in October 2019, new FDI rules were notified, and they superseded all earlier regulations and guidelines. So as per these guidelines, NRI can invest on repatriation basis as well as on non-repatriation basis. Now, what is the definition is already provided in the rules itself. Repatriation, as the name suggests, the proceeds which are ultimately realized through investments, those can be repatriated outside India. However, on non-repatriated basis, of course, the proceeds have to be kept in India only. Next, please. Yeah. So before again we deep dive into repat versus non-repatriation, let's see what all types of business entities do we have in India to undertake the business. Most of you are aware these are companies, LLP, partnership firms, or sole proprietorship firms. So maybe we'll spend some few minutes on these types of entities. Why it is important? Because whether an NRI can invest in these types of entities, it depends. Whether the investment can be made in sole proprietorship, on repatriation or non-repatriation basis, it differs because the regulations are altogether different. So as far as the first one being, next please. The first one being the sole proprietorship. As you all know, sole proprietorship is an enterprise that is wholly controlled by one person. Everything is registered in that person's individual name only, be it GST compliances, income tax compliances. There is no difference between the person and the business he is carrying on. So ultimately, he is liable for all the liabilities of the business, and the liabilities are unlimited. Next one, please. The next one is where, of course, a single person cannot carry on the business, so he would want others also to join him, and that's why we have a partnership firm. Next, please. Limited liability partnership, I wouldn't say it's a new concept because it was introduced in 2008. So many years have passed, but still so many companies, I would say, they do not opt for this LLP because of certain limitations. But yes, this is one of the vehicle which can be used to carry on the business. Here, just 2-3 points that I would like to highlight is that as per the LLP Act, LLP can have both residents and non-resident partners. However, a designated partner, at least one of the designated partners, should reside in India. Designated partner is just like directors that we have, the same concept. So under companies setup, they are known as directors, and under LLP setup, they are known as designated partners. And by law, one of them should be based in India, and having at least one designated partner in India is mandatory because to ensure that there are proper compliances with Indian regulation. Next, please. Private limited company, yeah, this is the most used vehicle because of many reasons, and everybody knows. So we can move to the next slide. these are prohibited sector. So NRI cannot make investment in the following businesses. And generally, these are the prohibitions which are applicable on all types of non-residents, for example, agriculture, plantation, real estate. Next, please.
Sorry, what is Nidhi company?
So these are like chit fund companies, sort of.
Oh, okay.
Next, Vidushi. Yeah. So now comes the entry route. So once we have decided, and usually that, whether we want to invest in company or proprietorship or LLP, RBI and the central government, they have prescribed certain limitations, certain restrictions. It's not free flow investment. This is all subject to certain pricing guidelines or sectoral guidelines. So first, let us take up, please go back to the same. Yeah, just stay here. So the first investment route available to NRI is to make investment under Schedule 1. Now, Schedule 1 is actually eligible or is available to all the non-residents, including non-resident Indian. And here the investment can be made on repatriation basis. So this is very, very important. But under Schedule 1, there are certain guidelines, pricing guidelines. For example, whenever the NRI or maybe the other non-resident is subscribing the shares of a company, then the company has to get a valuation report. So less than fair market value, NRI or other non-residents, they cannot subscribe to the shares of the company. Similarly, there are sectoral guidelines also. Here, actually, because we are talking about only equity shares, so under Schedule 1, equity share is not the only instrument wherein you can invest. There are multiple instruments available which are treated as equity only. For example, compulsory convertible debentures, convertible notes, compulsory convertible preference shares. Here, I would like to share one of I would say one of the incidents. So while we were undertaking one of the transactions, one NRI wanted to invest in a startup company, and of course, his budget was more than 1 CR. But that company did not have, it was not a priced round. Means price discovery was still under process. The startup was still looking for more revenues to raise funds. But in the meanwhile, he wanted to gather money from whosoever investor was available to keep that money, utilize that, and later convert it along with the priced round. So it was a sort of bridge round which was happening. Now, along with that client, the client wanted his friends, other friends also to invest in the company. But they had their limited budgets, less than 25 lakhs. Now, the speciality, I would say, or the condition in case of convertible note is that a convertible note can only be issued if the minimum value is 25 lakhs. So if the investment value is less than 25 lakhs, convertible note cannot be issued to that investor. And the money has to be also invested only in single tranche. It cannot be that you're investing 25 lakhs, but in multiple tranches. That is also not allowed. So 25 lakhs.
Sushma,
Yeah.
quick question. When you are mentioning the investment means, since it is NRI related, is it dollars equivalent of it or just rupees you are talking about? Because there will be confusion for us.
No, convert. So you have to convert into Indian. So investment will be made in INR only.
Okay. All the investment is okay. Okay. Thank you.
INR. Yeah.
INR. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
So, what happened? So the startup, of course, since we were representing the investor, the startup could not raise money from the investors whose investment tranche was less than 25 lakhs because of the law. They did not discuss, but later when we were, just chit-chatting and discussing, then we told them that instead of convertible notes, you could have used the instrument compulsory convertible debentures. which is as good as your bridge fund instrument, wherein no upfront valuation is required. You can always value the shares once you're converting along with the full-fledged price round. And there is no limitation of 25 lakhs. You could invest even 2 lakh, 1 lakh, 50 lakhs, 500 million through CCDs also. But yeah, so because people are not aware of it, so they lost the opportunity of being on board. So yeah. So the point here is that you have various instruments available depending upon the need. So one must explore all the options which are available.
Hi, Shushmita. This is Chalam. I have one question, if that's okay.
Sure.
Did I just hear that for a CCD vehicle, you don't have this cap? It could be any small amount, right?
Right.
Okay. For other vehicles, you have this 25 lakhs cap, just to make sure I heard it correctly. But for a CCD vehicle, it could be a very small amount, and you can get that investment from a non-resident Indian into the Indian startup. Just to confirm, I heard it
So
correctly.
it could have been, okay, I'll just elaborate. Except for convertible note, there is no restriction on the investment amount, be it equity share, be it compulsory convertible preference shares, or be it CCD. So the 25 lakh amount restriction is only linked with convertible notes. This is one.
Okay.
Yeah. And what happens with equity is that if you're issuing equity shares, then the company cannot issue equity shares without valuation. So without valuation, the instruments available with any company are CCDs or convertible notes.
Understood.
Yeah.
And then one last question is, I mean, if I'm trying to raise funds in the US, and if let's say I'm talking to somebody like an American, I mean, who was born and brought up here, does this 25 lakhs, does it apply, or does it only apply for non-resident Indians?
No, all, even
All.
including non-resident.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I think we can move to the next slide, Vidushi. Yeah. Now, another route, because there are conditions attached, like pricing guidelines I just spoke about. So, Indian government has been liberal, and there is a specific provision. So there is a specific schedule for under which an NRI can invest, but that could be but that will be on non-repatriation basis. So non-repatriation basis is actually treated as domestic investment, and since it is a domestic investment, so that is why there are no pricing guidelines per se as such, and it is more liberal. So you can invest, NRI can invest in equity instruments, it can invest in vehicles like AIF, REITs, or in LLP or other instruments without any limits. Can we move on to the next one? I think one important point, just go back. Yeah, the second point, which is investment in a firm or a sole proprietary concern. Here, one point to be noted is that NRI can invest on non-repatriation basis by way of contribution to the partnership firm or sole proprietorship firm, of course, which is not engaged in any prohibited sectors. So, repatriation basis investment is not allowed in these two vehicles at all, which means that if you want to invest in a simple partnership firm or a sole proprietorship firm, then it has to be on non-repatriation basis only. So there is a difference between partnership and LLP. I hope everybody is clear. There are different laws governing these two vehicles. So if you want to make maybe investment on repatriation basis, then one must look at LLP, not partnership firm. And if you want to invest in partnership firm by contributing to the capital, then it will always be on non-repatriable basis. Next. So we talked about Schedule 1. Repatriation investment on repatriation basis, and Schedule 4, which is on non-repatriation basis, which is equivalent to your domestic investment, and you can make you can actually invest through your NRO account as well. But it doesn't mean that certain vehicles, for example, LLP. So LLP, we could invest under Schedule 1. We could invest under Schedule 4 also without limitation. But we can also invest in LLP on repatriation basis, but there are certain conditions. For example, LLP which are operating in sectors where 100% FGI is permitted and there are no FDI linked performances, only NRI can invest on repatriation basis only on these LLPs. And further, the fair market value, the price at which the investment will be made should not be less than the fair market value as per the valuation norms which have been prescribed. So there is a difference that why people, depending upon the objective, the long-term goal, you have an option to invest either under Schedule 1 or Schedule 4 or Schedule 6. There's one more schedule which is on the next slide. Can we just go on to the next slide? This is Schedule 8. Similarly, so you could invest on a non-repatriation basis in various investment vehicles like REITs, AIF under Schedule 4. That was on non-repatriation basis. But if you want to invest on repatriation basis, then Schedule 8 is available, which is actually open to other non-residents also. So again, there are conditions attached to it, which are mentioned in Schedule 8. Next, Tushi. So those were broadly the points. And one more hot destination these days is Gift City, Gujarat, which people are looking forward to it. So NRIs, definitely, not only NRIs, there are various non-residents who can invest in Gift City. Gift City is primarily considered as foreign jurisdiction within India. It offers why India is promoting Gift City is that it is because it is offering various benefits like tax incentives. There's no tax on interest component. There is exemption for filing the income tax returns, and there is MAT availability. There are various actually benefits. No GST is applicable depending upon the conditions which have been prescribed. So once you comply with that, Gift City becomes, of course, one of the best options. I think what I also would like to add here is that why Gift City, it has been seen as it is seen why they are promoting is that because people, if you will see that, and I would say people are flipping their structure. So there are many companies who have raised funds in India, but then ultimately, let us say at Series A level or Series B level, the investors are pushing these startups to flip their structure, means to have their holding companies either in Cayman Island, Mauritius, or Singapore, or maybe US. So like personally, we are advising and working on various flip structures. As recent as yesterday only, we are working on a structure wherein there's a company already in India. It has actually raised funds from various investors, but now the new investor who is coming in is pushing for that you should flip your structure and move your holding company to Mauritius. Now the question comes, why Mauritius? There are different reasons. One of the reasons being that there are less compliances. Frankly speaking, even we have witnessed that if you invest in India, vis-a-vis investing in Mauritius, there's lots of flexibility available. Like in India, you cannot issue one share unless you have done the valuation of that particular share. So, and if you are actually issuing shares at a price which is more than the fair market value, then the entire difference is taxable. It is taxable in the hands of startup, taxable in the hands of the investor. And so at times it really becomes very difficult to structure your transactions because of many reasons. So that is why the investor is insisting to flip to Mauritius. Now in Mauritius, there is no valuation per se which is required. So we had the flexibility to issue shares to few investors, let us say at USD1, and to few investors at USD200, and few investors to issue at USD1000. So the complete flexibility is there. Nobody is questioning you. And compliances wise, yes, again, it's very simple. You want to issue shares, please hold board meeting, please hold shareholders meeting, and that's all. You are done. As compared to India, if you want to raise funds, then you have to conduct board meeting, shareholders meeting. You have to file so many forms with the ROC. You need to take approval of ROC. Once ROC approves, then only you can issue offer letter to the investors. And in the offer letter, there are tons of disclosures which are required, right from the company's disclosure to the disclosures relating to the promoters. To the promoters means in their individual capacity also, if suppose they have a litigation going on personal front, they have to disclose everything. So the entire process becomes very, very cumbersome. So that is why people are moving to to jurisdiction outside India. So through Gift City, it is expected, not sure. I mean, we'll have to see what ultimately how it will operate. But yes, it is expected that people who are flipping and they're going outside India, they will, instead of going outside India, they'll come to Gift City. So hoping that there's some relaxation and it is a good structure to invest.
Sushma, we have a question from Chelam. Can you elaborate on what should be legal status of the founder to register a company in India? Can all the founder/co-founder be US citizen, or do at least one of the founders need to be an Indian citizen?
So you're saying you want to start a company in India, and you're asking whether one of the founders should be India-based, is it?
No, so my question was not so much about whether India-based. My question was, I have a healthcare company, me and my co-founders, trying to understand so I'm calling from United States. My question is, do both of us have to be, can both of us be US citizens, or at least one of us have to have an Indian passport?
No, not required. Both of you could be US citizens. The only requirement is that one of the directors must be resident in India. Only director. So as far as ownership is concerned, the shareholding is concerned, it can entirely reside outside India. But as far as directorship concerned, because you have to have at least 2 directors in India, so one of them should be in India. Because of the compliances thing. This was initially not there, but it's been quite, I think, almost a decade that this rule changed, that now at least one director should be in India. So that could be anybody.
So the founder, co-founder doesn't need to hold Indian passports, but you need a third person, just to make sure to put words in your mouth. You need to have a third person who is a Indian passport holder, and they should be based in India.
Correct.
Thank you.
Correct. That's right.
And then one last question, since I got you here, you use the terminology CCD. Just to confirm, CCD is the same as the SAFE terminology they use in the US. Is that correct?
I would say SAFE is sort of, but SAFE, I would rather compare it with convertible note.
Oh, it's not a compulsory thing.
No. So I would rather equate it with convertible note rather than compulsory convertible debentures.
Thank you.
But yeah, but both of them like operate principally, in essence, they both operate at the same level. Means the intention is same for both the instruments.
Okay. Is the SAFE terminology used in India?
No. So what so many funds they have done is they have coined the word iSafe, which is Indian safe, which is actually not at all at par with safe, not at all. The rules and regulations are altogether different. But yes, instead of safe, you can invest either in convertible note or debentures. Yes, you have both the options available.
Thank you so much.
No, I think this is all. We can skip this, Vidushi. I don't think so. We need this. Yeah, this should be fine. Yeah, I think I had limited time, so just tried my best to wind this up as early as possible. Any other question that I can answer? But yeah, if you have any specific question, more than happy to get back to you on an email if you want. Naveen has my email ID. You can always write, and I'll be more than happy to revert.
Sure. If
Yeah, I had a
anybody has
question.
questions, or you can mute and speak. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, please. Yeah, you had a
Yeah,
question.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah.
Hi.
So first off, excellent presentation, and we will get to that. But quick question here. What about people investing from different parts of the world? So whatever you shared are there any restrictions when it comes to some parts, some countries? And then two, for example, Kashmir had special status, investments are limited from other states, not just other countries. So do we have any of those statutes still in play? So one, about investments from other states, and two, obviously investments from global economies and countries, and if there's any restrictions.
Yeah, so like I think last year, or maybe it's been a couple of years. So earlier the restriction was only Pakistan and Bangladesh for the obvious reasons, but then that restriction has been extended to China also. So whenever you are making investment, there is a specific declaration that you have to give. Any investor has to give in writing, signing specifically that if you're making investment in, you're not making investment from any of the countries which are sharing land border with India. So like China, you cannot make, Pakistan, you cannot make. Even the ultimate beneficial owner could also not be from these land sharing countries. So yes, there are restrictions. But these are limited, means the countries which are sharing land border. Not all.
Got it. And for just an add-on, I know you mentioned there are some limitations for initial funding, etc. So do they accept, if let's say it's growing and it starts out in, let's say I start something in India and I want to grow it globally, what do I follow the law of the land, or are there restrictions because it got started in India in terms of globalization?
In terms of globalization, means if you're investing in India and that Indian company wants to go global,
That's
then
right.
yes, there are different ways and means. So you can, for example, you can incorporate your wholly owned subsidiary outside India. That is perfectly allowed. Because if you see the big corporate houses who have their subsidiaries all over. The latest example could be, you can take Oyo, which has its presence global. Everywhere they have their companies, their wholly owned subsidiaries. So that's how you know there is no restriction as such. There are limitations in terms of investment, ODI. So there are ODI guidelines, and there are restrictions like how much investment you can make outside India, and which are the instruments that you can invest. But other than that, as such, there is no restriction per se. Yeah, I'm not talking about those sanctioned countries which keep on evolving and which keep on changing. But otherwise, yes, there's no restriction. You can go on.
Thank you. I'll yield for further questions back to the moderator.
Naveen,
I
you
don't
are.
have the questions coming through the chat window. So yeah, Chilam garu, I'll share Sushma's email address.
Thank you, Naveen. Thank you so much.
Can we just see the chat? I mean, are there any other questions?
There are no more questions, but would like to remind everyone, in case if you have any questions, probably it's time for us to shoot them.
So while the questions are coming, Sushma ji, if you could share your LinkedIn link in the chat,
Yes.
people can connect with you, and that
I'll-
will probably be a way to professionally connect and seek your services or your advice in the future.
Absolutely. While we are speaking, let me just share my LinkedIn profile.
Maybe you can flash your contact details just for a moment on the main screen.
Yeah, sure. Just 1 second.
If you want, I can find your LinkedIn profile. Yes.
I wanted to actually share the entire contact.
Yeah, you
detail.
can take your time. You can take your time. Didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Then
No, it's fine. I'm just opening. I'm just sharing the entire detail. Give me a second. Let me.
while you do that, I would like to ask some of the whoever is attending to introduce themselves just for 5 minutes.
One
Praveen.
second, we'll thank the speaker and then we'll do that, Vishwagaru. We just hang 1 second. Yeah. Okay, are there any final questions? Okay, if not, definitely want to take this time to thank our eminent speaker, Sushma Mathur. And it was fantastic advice. We've heard about a whole variety of use cases and different conditions under which we can invest. And I think some of the key caveats, for example, for NRIs to invest in India, to have a local director on board, on your executive board, which is important because the person who asked the question was valid in the past. I think in the 70s, 80s, 90s, no NRI company or any foreign company could set up a plant in India without partnering with a local subsidiary, right? That used to be the case, whether Coke partnering with the bottling companies and so on in the past. So now looks like with full convertibility and trade agreements, etc., I think a lot of those are open now. And it was heartening to know that Make in India and building in India is largely encouraged. It's a great sign for foreign direct investment in India. And it's outstanding insights from Sushmaji. I think the vibrant global JNTUH alumni as well as students should take advantage of services from Sushmaji for any guidance in the future. And once again, on behalf of JNTUH Alumni Association Board, I would like to sincerely thank Sushmaji for a wonderful presentation. And I hope you are interested in partnering with us in the future and perhaps be one of on our advisory board for any such legal suggestions and guidance in the future.
Absolutely. Pleasure is mine. Would love to be anytime.
Thank you once again. And you're welcome to stay back and, be part of the rest of the proceedings. But thank you once
Sure.
again.
Thank you so much. I've shared my contact details in the chat with everybody.
Thank you,
We will
Sushma.
connect. Okay, back to you, Naveen.
Yeah, Vishwagaru, I think you can seek the introductions from the rest of the folks. Yeah.
So, whoever is attending, can you please introduce yourself before our next speaker starts? Let me go to Chalam Garu.
Hi, good morning, good evening. My name is Chalam. I am a JNTU Hyderabad graduate from 1997. I'm currently in Florida. I've been working in the healthcare space and currently actually working on my healthcare startup to register based off in Hyderabad. I've been kind of working in a stealth mode for the last 1 year or so, but now I'm at a point where I'm ready to register the company based off in Hyderabad, India. And to everybody's point, I've been spending like the last 12 months, 15 months trying to understand the landscape based off in India on the startup ecosystem. And the ecosystem is phenomenal. I mean, especially I'll speak a little bit about Hyderabad. I mean, I've been focusing a lot on Hyderabad. I mean, I don't know about other cities in India, but at least in Hyderabad, the healthcare ecosystem is super fantastic. I mean, there are quite a few like ecosystems like T-Hub, Reach and all. They're doing fantastic services. So I'm taking their help to navigate the system and understand all the healthcare partners and everybody. But this was one area where I had a question about the registration because I'm getting ready for that aspect, that phase of my organization. So thank you so much, Shushmita. I definitely will reach out to you. I have a few more questions. I didn't want to hijack the meeting. I will reach out to you.
Nice. Thank you, Chalamji. Where in Florida, Mr. Chalam? Yeah.
I'm in Fort Lauderdale. I'm about an hour north of Miami.
Oh, okay. Good.
Anybody from Florida?
I was there in Fort Lauderdale in October. I wish we could have maybe met earlier. I was in Florida in October. whole month.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Okay.
Fort
Anybody
Lauderdale
else
only.
in Florida here?
I frequently come to Florida. My daughter lives in Florida,
Oh,
in
okay.
Jacksonville. Next time I will be in touch with you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hi,
Srinivas
Chalam garu. This
also
is
is from Miami.
Sorry,
Oh,
my dog is barking. Sorry.
Okay.
this is Srini and Chalam garu. I'm also in Florida, Tampa Bay area. Just want to let you know.
Awesome. Very nice to meet you.
Nice.
Thanks.
Srinivas Garu, you can tell some. Srinivas Garu is a director in our JNTUH-AA alumni. And Srinivas Garu, you can say few words about yourself, sir.
Sure. Yeah, I in living in Florida from like 15 plus years. The JNTU 96 batch computer science. Yeah, that's all from my side.
Naveen Garu, if we are running out of time, you can put a stop for us.
Actually, I've reminded the second speaker. He's yet to join, so probably we can go proceed with the introductions.
Okay.
So he'll be here in some time.
Yeah, just now, may I ask Ravi Goodanti, can you please introduce yourself?
Hello. Hey, can you? Okay. Mic is on. Hey, I'm Ravi Gudanti. I'm a computer science engineering from 88 to 92 batch, and currently I'm living in Fremont, California, for the last 25 years here, and I'm working in Visa, the credit card company. I think pretty much 2 decades over there. And I joined the call to get the knowledge to know the ecosystem in India and what's changing, what is current, for information and the knowledge base. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ravi. And may I request Krishna Asliji to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is, hi everyone, good to see you all, good morning and good evening. My name is Krishna Ashli. I passed out in 97 from JNTU Hyderabad. I live in Austin, Texas, and I work for Wipro. I'm attending this session primarily to understand the legal aspects of opening a company in US and then opening a subsidiary in India, Hyderabad in specific. So thanks for the wonderful presentation, Sushmita. Please post your LinkedIn profile and I will try to reach out to you offline.
Yeah.
Sure,
Thank you,
sure.
Krishna. And may I request Jayakar TJ to introduce himself? Jayakarji? Okay, well, let's say, I think maybe he's on mute or Vijay Krishna Garu, can you please introduce yourself? Okay, let's move on to Spurti ji.
Hi everyone. Hi team. My name is Purti and I am from JNTU Karimnagar 2007-2011 batch. I've been in US from 2012. I have pursued my master's here and then started working as software engineer, and I love collaborating with people and communicating. I mean, socializing. And the main reason I've joined this group is to be part of the alumni association and take part of any activities and involve in webinars and get to know more about new topics. And thank you for
Spurti, 1 second. If possible, you want to enable your video, if possible. Otherwise, we are okay.
actually I'm in driving, so
Okay, no problem. Please go
maybe
ahead.
next time I'll definitely
Yeah. Please
yeah.
continue. Please continue. Yeah.
Yeah. So
After
I've been part.
Yeah.
Sure, I've been part of different other networking groups, and I love socializing, and I'll be looking forward to participating in any of the further activities that Alumni Association is going to conduct. And thank you so much for making me part of this association.
Oh,
Thank
thank you,
you.
Spurti. And let's
one second,
take
Vishwaji.
Chunduri.
1 second.
After that, we'll go to Jayakar ji.
Can you all hear me?
Yeah, we
Yes.
can hear you.
Yeah. So Vishwaji, 1 second. So Spurti, where are you? Where do you live again?
I live in New Jersey.
Jersey. Okay, wonderful. So, in fact, it's a great opportunity to connect with this webinar group. I think, Naveen, let's add Spurti to our webinar group, and let's have a quick Zoom call offline to see how we
Yeah.
can partner. And because there's, we want to post these wonderful recorded sessions to LinkedIn and other social media, which we need to be doing more diligently, and we can, with the help of the team, do that.
Yeah.
So, Spurti, if you are willing to help us with the media outreach and social media presence, etc., I think it will be great help, because Naveen's doing a great job finding excellent speakers for us and moderating. And I think we welcome more vibrant, young alumni to join hands and make this useful for the rest of the global community.
Sure, definitely. I'm happy to help.
Spurti,
Thank
can you
you.
give me your full name? I have pinged my number. You can ping me on WhatsApp and we can have an offline conversation. And in the meantime, like if you could give your full name, which is searchable on LinkedIn, I'll send a connection invite.
Sure, I'll do that. It's Purti Dasari. I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, and I've posted Sushmaji's details in our WhatsApp for JNTUH. So the alumni team, alumni members can take advantage of that. Vishwaji, back to you.
Yeah. Let's request Jaikarji to introduce himself.
Hi there, I'm audible, Vishwaji.
Yeah. Yes, Jaikarji.
Thank you, thank you. First of all, let me appreciate the entire team for organizing this weekend seminars or webinars or talks. Really, you are picking up good talent and good speakers and good subjects and topics as well. So, Vishwa Narahari Garu, actually I missed. You said we'll meet up in the recent global meet. I don't know whether you have come or not, but we missed each other.
Yeah.
I was looking forward to see you. That's nice. And Kumar and Praveen Nidmolu and the entire team, most of the team I know and they know me well. I'm 80 to 84 EC batch and currently Vice President Alumni Association of the JNTUH Alumni Association. And I was pretty much interested in the subject of setting up a company in US and a subsidiary in India. As I have one leg in America, because I have Bank of America account still active, while I worked and lived for 5 years in America, in Chicago. But most of the states, about 38 states in 50 states, I have either visited or consulted, which an average American will not be doing. But I had the privilege and opportunity to do so. And basically, I'm BTech Electronics, MTech Computer Science, MBA in Finance and Accounting, all from JNTU. So I'm proud student and alumnus of JNTU.
Oh,
And definitely, yes, thank you.
that's great.
I'm looking forward to setting up an LLP kind of thing. I have MTech in AI in 99, I finished. So people are talking now about AI, ML and adaptation in BHL. I have implemented and I have developed about 3 expert systems. In 87, I have implemented 89, 90, 99. I have developed some expert systems which replace consultants whom we used to invite them. Half of the job and discovery aspect and troubleshooting I would have been doing, and then the consultant from America would be flying and finishing the rest of the job. So that way, my implementation came to fruition. Expert system. It's a diagnostic expert system based on artificial intelligence. So that was my MTech leveraged, and one of these 3 I have used it for my project dissertation, which was accredited very well. So with this few introduction, I would look forward to Sushmita's inputs and other related aspects to set up companies and take it forward. And other regulations. I was head of internal audit for 6 divisions of BHL. So I know the old Companies Act 1956 and the Amended Act 2013 and the amendments thereto. I have couple of law degrees. One in cyber law, another is in formal LLB from Usmania University. So I'm pretty much aware how a company system works, but at the same time, a little bit hand holding and guidance from Shushmita would be definitely helping me to take off. I appreciate once
Absolutely,
again.
sir.
Yeah, Madam Shushmita.
Yes, sir. Anytime. You can text me, call me anytime. Happy to help.
Yeah. Please forward the email and your contact number so that you are India based or US based.
India based.
Oh, then you have my number on the on the Zoom. Otherwise, everybody has my number. So please forward me your contacts and coordinates so
Yeah,
that we can take.
Jaker, actually, the information is all in the Zoom chat. Sushmaji posted. You can
Okay.
take advantage of that. Okay.
So nice of you.
Yeah.
By the way, Praveen Nidmolu is my guru in PMP.
Jaker is a lifelong learner and is definitely an inspiration for many of the alumni.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank
Thank you again. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. I don't want to steal somebody else's time. But
Yeah.
I look forward to more participation. Only 13 participants are there. So we will definitely do little more broadcasting so that
Jekaji,
more participation is there.
Yeah, we'll talk offline. Very nice of you introduced.
Thank you, Narahari Garu. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Take
no
up.
problem.
Yeah.
No problem.
Sure.
Just, I think I didn't introduce myself. Sorry. I am the treasurer and executive committee member along with Praveen Nidumolu, and I live in New Jersey, and I am the senior most in alumni, and I am from 74 to 79 batch ECE basically, and so I'm here in USA from since 2000 year. And let's give the mic to Shrikar Chunduri if he is ready.
And before that, sorry to interrupt. I think we have one more question from Chelam Garu to Sushma. So my startup is a healthcare. I will presume the startup type will be private limited company. Is that correct?
So I would suggest, yes, you should opt for private limited company. That's the best vehicle.
Thank you.
Okay, over to you, sir. Vishwa Garu.
I think it's my turn, I guess. Hi, namaste. My name is Srikar. Sorry, I joined late, had some school activity with my kid. So I just joined. I was very much interested. My interest lies in the manufacturing sector. I'm so trying to see if anybody to partner with in India on the manufacturing side, not on software. I never rang my bell. So I'm still trying to explore. There are lots of software opportunities, but I'm having a hard time finding partners in the manufacturing sector. I'm from 89, Tripoli, JNTUH Hyderabad. Been in US since 1989 December. Did my PhD from Texas A&M and mostly in Texas all the time. I currently live in north of Dallas called McKinney. That's about me. And if there is the presentation available, I would like to look at it because I missed the beginning portion of it.
My presentation, I'll share with you, Naveen. Then you can maybe circulate.
Sure.
Thank you.
I will.
Yeah, if you have Google Slides or something and in a view only mode, if you could share the link, I think it's easy to distribute. Thank you, Sushmaji.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have to wait few more minutes. The second speaker is stuck in Mumbai traffic.
Yeah, I can quickly introduce myself since Vishwa Garu already did. So first off, taking a request from Hari Ipanapalli, Dr. Hari Ipanapalli, who's our global chairman, and also the chairman of Lead India and many other reputed organizations globally. He had a call to start a global alumni association during the pandemic, and three of us responded. So, in addition to myself, we had Sudhakar Uppala, who is our executive vice president, who could not join today because of a conflict, and Swami Sri Perambudur, who the four of us, along with Hari, we started the Global Alumni Association as founding directors. I'm currently the vice president international for JNTUH Alumni Association, and it's heartening to see a lot of new people joining. And I think, Jaykarji, to address your concern earlier, a lot of the people, what we notice is because Saturday mornings are not very convenient because of family commitments, etc. A lot of the content is consumed after the presentation, and we usually have about 13 to, I think the max we had was close to 100 on the Zoom, but usually the views that we get are more than 500 to even thousands later, depending on the topic. So I totally agree with you. We would encourage and welcome, more and more JNT alumni and students to take advantage of this. And Jaykarji, maybe you can help us maybe get more students interested and
Yeah.
join these
I will try
webinars.
to. I will try to spread the word out, definitely.
Okay.
But I understand some people are joining on the YouTube also, and on their own
Yes,
convenience, driving and other things.
that's right.
I would definitely
Yeah.
butt in, and then we would see that more. Particularly, this topic was interesting, setting up a company. So
Yeah.
I was expecting more number. Anyway, we will do that. Combined, yes, we can. Thank you.
Yeah, I can guarantee you there'll be a lot of views once it's available
You're
openly.
right. You're
I
right.
see that the
You're
next
right. Thank
speaker
you.
is here. Once again, I welcome all the alumni who are joining us today, along with Vishwaji as part of the executive committee, and looking forward to more and more joining. And please let your friends know. We have this every second Saturday. This month was an aberration for different reasons, but usually it's second Saturdays, and Navin's been doing a fantastic job moderating these sessions for us. Back to you, Navin.
Sure. So, in the interest of time, I would like to introduce the second speaker of the day, one of my friends. Like I have hosted him on my podcast, and ever since we have been associated on various forums, and he has been contributing a lot to the community. So, he's none other than Charudatta Pandey. He's the world's first digital mindset coach, and he's on a mission to help a million entrepreneurs and professionals accelerate their growth by developing a digital mindset. And he has been enabling leaders to adapt to technology as the managing partner of Suhrud Consultants. And he has completed over 10 technology-led transformation projects, and very well respected industry expert at MSMEX.in, and conducted sessions for more than 2000 companies, and he has been a speaker at leading industrial forums including Maratha Chamber of Commerce, IMC, ChemExcel, IHRAE, and Thane Belapur Industries Association, and is also a certified life and executive coach. And he's joining us to present his topic on building a digital mindset for growth. And on that note, Charudatta, hearty welcome to this forum as well. And I'm honored to have you part of these sessions as well. And over to you.
Thank you so much, Naveen, for such a gracious introduction. And thank you, everyone, for taking out time and joining this conversation. At the outset, let me apologize to you for this delay. I did not realize that people take Mr. Modi that seriously. So everybody was talking about the Diwali around, and the roads in Mumbai are similar to that of a Diwali, and taking a usual journey of an hour is taking 2.5 today. So you would realize that people are in that Diwali celebration mood, getting in this particular part. But let me start with my topic today. The people who are on the other side of the hemisphere are far more on the used to the technology part, but we in India have got a very peculiar way of dealing with the things here. So I want to share it with you a very brief presentation, and I would like to discuss some specific cases with you. So we would like to decide the topic that I want to discuss today is how do you actually build a digital mindset for growth? And I will also share with you the reason why I would like to discuss this at length. Currently, every business is a digital business. We all agree that there is no business which is living without a technology today. Even if you talk about a small chai wala, which is the primary source of inspiration for many in this country today, is also operating with the chai, so are the small vendors. And currently, the large enterprises have ensured that their entire ecosystem is digitalized. So whether it's communication, information part, supply chain communication, the conversations regarding their proposals, everything is happening online. So practically, whether a particular entrepreneur likes or not, the business has already become digital. But still, why we are looking at this particular topic? Because what I see is that there are some built-in challenges in the way the Indian business operate compared to what we see on the Western side. So first part, people would talk about visibility. People in India are extremely comfortable with ambiguity, right? They talk about transparency and having the information available at all. But for us, we even get attached to that particular information. See, ये मेरा report है, ये मेरा data है, मेरे department का data है, is something that you would hear a lot. So people get attached to their data and their department. On the Western part, on the tech side, we discuss about system-based reporting. The data is there every day morning, some reports get generated, and those are available to everyone. Whereas in Indian context, a lot of people still believe in need-based reporting. जरूरत है, सही में देना है, and only on this particular part we actually go and give a decision. Globally, we talk about data-based decision making. In India, people are very conversant with intuition-based decision making. This is what I feel, this is what my experience is. So based on this particular part, this is what is discussion I would take. So a lot of times, globally, people talk about the profits that you are getting and how you would be able to work. The Indian context for this particular part is something called as rotation. पैसा घूम रहा है market में. So people talk about how many times they are able to rotate that particular money, and based on whatever is the percentage, what's the money that I actually make. So somewhere there is a conceptual realignment that is required for a lot of companies or even some of the investors to get comfortable with investing in India or starting setups in India. So this particular mindset, which is very comfortable with ambiguity, very attached to the information, want to protect that information, report it just on the need basis, is something that creates a lot of challenges for people to come and start businesses over here, or even invest in those businesses, or at some point in time see whether Indian market really makes sense or not. So there is an effort that I'm currently putting in. There is a huge amount of traction that I'm seeing in the market, particularly with the second generation entrepreneurs who are coming in, who want to change this mindset to a global mindset of visibility, transparency, a system-based reporting, data-based decision making, and a very clear conversation regarding what's the profit that we are making in our business. So based on this particular part, let me share with you how it is actually happening. So the moment you basically start on this particular part, the first thing that is, okay, what are you really telling me? Are the Indian business still operating this particular way? Is it the way it's happening? But when you deal with a lot of business, you would realize that the things are actually happening that way. So let me see if you have heard these things, right? If you work with a company and you want some report and data to come from them, the management or typically the managers will start giving this particular part. Sir, my data time pe nahi aata. Then all my reports are getting generated in Excel. The system is really of no use. I have to decide based on my experience, my gut feel. The data does not give me anything. It's my experience that matters. I see somebody, I see how he is behaving, and accordingly, I decide if I need to get into this or I don't need to get into this. And on the top of it, you would lot of see the Indian entrepreneurs who would come and tell you that when you are partnering with them, that I want to implement a system, but I don't know if I can get a desired output or return. So these are the specific conversations, specific decisions, which have stopped many of the Indian entrepreneurs on going towards technology. Some point in time, their key resources are not giving them the right input. They believe that their teams are not ready for this particular part. They also had an experience wherein they had got some resources, more tech-savvy resources to work on the system. Those people have left, and eventually they have gone back to the manual reporting. This particular challenge and the mindset is what is compelling a lot of Indian business owners to look at the technology from a different way. So what I am proposing and how I am working with them is on a framework called DIGIT. This 5-step framework talks about how you can go and define your process. The first part for any particular business is to see what are your existing process, how you are going and selling something to a client, how do you get those orders into your system? How do you plan the material and the resources for that particular order? How you procure that particular material? How the material is entered in your system? How is it allocated to the shop floor? What are the different kind of resources that you have? How do you use them for manufacturing? How many machines do you have? How many people do you have? How do you plan them? Plan everything properly to get the output. Once the output is done, how do you make the final invoices? How do you sell those particular solutions? And eventually, how do you go about collecting the money? So this entire business process, you need to first define and identify what are the challenges that you are facing at each of the level. At some point in time, it could be just the customer data that you don't have on time. In some point in time, you could realize that probably I don't have a control of my material. Certain cases, the resourcing and the shop floor becomes a black box. So every business has a different part, a different challenge. So it is very important for you to start defining all those particular parts to then see where the challenges are. Once you define those particular parts, then we can look at identifying what are the top challenges. Is a sales velocity a challenge for you? Or do you have an issue in terms of mapping your inventories? Or do you have an issue in terms of payment correction? Do you have an issue in terms of whether your returns are not going on time? So you identify those top challenges that you are facing. Once you identify these top challenges, then look at how you can address those challenges. They could, in certain cases, it could be purely manual. In certain cases, you would realize that probably I can use something like Google Sheet somewhere. It can be, I just need to get some external resource. I may need an external resource. I can get some consultant to work with you. There can be various ways to address those challenges. Once all these ideas are clear and you have identified that how you can address those particular challenges, then see how system would be able to address this. And with this clear assessment of understanding your processes, then the top challenges, how you are going to address those particular challenges, then you can go and select the right system. This particular system, which is chosen very cautiously and consciously by understanding the top challenges and the solutions, will help you get that implementation very comfortably done, very smoothly done within the agreed timelines and budget, and that will start giving you the output. And this particular system will then enable you to transform your business. So the Digit framework starts from defining the processes, looking at the top challenges, generating the ideas, then implementing the system to address your challenges and thus transforming your business. This particular framework is what is helping multiple companies in India achieve the results. And the output that you see currently is in terms of your visibility and the decision making. The first part that we give is that what are your forecasts, how your revenue is moving, how you are able to track your sales velocity, what are your different costs, your manufacturing costs, your overheads, how do you look at your operational efficiency, what is your per product, per project profitability. Only when these particular things are very, very clear for you, you would be in a position to take any kind of decision, whether you want to enter a particular market, what kind of customers that you want to look at, what are your operationally, which are the products that you want to focus, what are the services that you want to offer for current year, and how they are going to change. And in case of a specific transaction also, how you would be able to get specific changes or any specific payment terms aligned for this particular part. So this is the first concept that I wanted to introduce. So if you are comfortable with this particular part, now I can then look at discussing the specific case study. So are we basically, is this particular part, till this part is clear? Do you feel that this particular framework would work? Or do you believe that we need to look at certain more things? What's your view on this framework? Anyone has any specific comments on this framework? Any experiences that you have on this particular part?
Okay, please have your questions coming through the chat window, or you can unmute yourself and speak before we move forward. So far, there are no questions, Charudat. I think let's move forward and probably.
Sure. One thing I see that you are asked, is the company profitable? Everything, right? Those kind of things. Then can we implement? Yes. Now, has the solution been evaluated? When do you evaluate the solution, whether it is profitable or not, whether it is cost effective or not?
Awesome. Amazing question. So I'll start with that particular case study only. Okay. So on how do we look at the cost evaluation of a particular part? So this particular case is of a friend of mine who runs a contracting company. They do a turnover of
Interrupt for a second.
Yes.
Yeah. In the sense, the reason there's a little bit of background for that. When IT first started, it was said, hey, it's going to bring a lot of efficiencies, solve all your problems, blah, blah, blah. You'll be a lean, mean kind of crap. But IT came and took all the budget from other departments and kept growing. Never ending budget. It's a sinkhole that never ends. So now can you do that?
I can totally understand. So I was with SAP for 11 quarters to be precise, so I can really resonate. I have seen the cases on some of the decisions, and eventually a lot of money getting pulled into systems, and that was the reason for me to embark on this journey of looking at how the value realization happens. So I'll give you 3 sets of example. I think this is a perfect setup for us to see how things can really move. So I'll share with you 3 companies at 3 different levels, and how do we look at working with them. So the first company is it's a 3-year-old startup, and this particular startup is operating in city beautification part. So they make beautiful city lightings and different kind of lightings, which are particularly that you would see in Mumbai on the Marine Drive, and also they create different kind of decorative lighting. So this company operates at currently at turnover of around 12 CR, but the promoter was very keen on implementing a system in the business to see how they would be able to grow. So this is an early stage startup with a classical mechanical fabrication part with a very limited very limited appetite, to be honest, for investment. But the idea was to see how we can get the systems in place. So what we looked at is we did a complete process mapping for him, and we realized that there were 2 challenges that he was fundamentally facing. Rather, let's do 3 specific parts. The first part was that they were all preparing the quotations manually, and a lot of conversations would happen over a phone, and then they would agree on certain price and close. So there was no particular track of sales quotation and seeing how they are operating on a sales side. The second part was that they wanted to understand how the material was moving and how the material planning was happening within the premises. And the third part was that he wanted to understand how effectively his people are operating. Now, there is no particular appetite at that point in time for him to make any additional investment, but he wanted a system in place. So the system that I helped him implement was we created a standard calculator based on specific parameters for him in Google Sheets. And we also created a tracker wherein he could populate that particular tracker to create multiple quotations, and all the data for those particular quotations would get populated in a particular Google Sheet, so that he has a complete view of how many proposals have been sent by him, what is his cost, and against that particular cost, what is the price that has been quoted to the particular client, so that while negotiating, they had a complete view of all that was getting discussed, and that also served as a pipeline tracker for them for their weekly review. The second set of production configuration and the material control on site, we were able to do that in Tally using some basic level of customization. So we looked at creating a production order, designing a bill of material, creating a production order, getting all the material within Tally, issuing it against a production order, and then booking the consumption to see to it that the entire material cycle is available in the system, and his entire cost now we are getting booked into part. We also took it to a level wherein now he has a monthly report that he knows that these are the how many products that I have produced against this particular products. This is my material consumption. We also incorporated a labor rate in that part, so he knows that for particular set of pole, this is the labor cost. So against a month, he knows what is the material cost, what is the labor rate, overall labor cost, and then he can go and he can compare that labor cost with all the bookings, all the overheads that he has paid in a particular month. So he practically knows on a monthly basis what is the profitability that he is going. So this is the first level of part. And again, the production reporting is back in Excel, wherein there is a supervisor who is entering the data, and on daily basis we know how effectively people are getting used. This is at a very elementary level, wherein the idea of getting the visibility and tracking the things can also serve with a very minimum cost. That's the first part. The second part, where you need to choose a system, was for a company which was a little bigger, around 40 CR. They are primarily into contracting business. They do office interior contracts, and these contracts are pretty time bound. They need to finish up the projects within 45 to 60 days. But however, the sales cycle before that is quite stretched, and they wanted to have a CRM system on wherein they can go and track the leads, see how the leads are progressing, reach out and even look at the conventional sales parameter, sales velocity part. But this project execution was very critical. So we looked at various systems and we identified an ERP system called Strategic ERP, which is developed by two IITians based out of Mumbai, and they have built a system which is exclusively focused only on the construction management and the project management industry. So this particular ERP covers everything that they need, and the cost is just around 10 lakhs with all the implementation. So rather than going for a full-fledged system, we have implemented this system which is taking care of all the need. Now the system was selected, his team was onboarded, they were trained by the team. We prepared a proper process chart, and the company is currently working. So they are getting the benefit in terms of the project control that they wanted. So this is again choosing a system for one particular instance. The third level of instance which I like to discuss is at a company which is again currently we're deploying a system which stands at around 150 CR. There is a potential for the company to go to around 500 CR, and that's when they wanted to see what is the platform that can take them from their current system to the new system that they wanted to implement. So for them, we did a full-fledged, we did a complete process assessment, identified the gaps, looked at the existing system that they are using. There's a homegrown ERP that they are using, and we mapped that to an ERP that they can use, and we basically zeroed in on SAP B1, and currently we are implementing SAP B1 for them. So this is how we go stage by stage. A larger case, fourth one, which is for a pharmaceutical company. This particular company wanted to initially start with, they already had a contract manufacturing company, but they wanted to started their own R&D firm, and they wanted to implement R&D, the complete pharmaceutical product development in system. So for that particular instance, and they wanted to map the complete 7-stage pharma development part, relate that to the QA, have all the controls in place. Then we discussed, we had a very detailed discussion with the management, and we shortlisted SAP. Because for that kind of a complication where the documentation, data and traceability is very, very critical, you will not be able to compromise on what kind of system that you do. So we then looked at SAP. It was a part of the investment that they are doing in building a product, and then they were. So we basically help a business choose what is the right set of system based on where they stand, what is the criticality of business, and how they would be able to grow from that point onwards.
So I think, Charudat, I remember you have published this kind of information on LinkedIn already. So what I'll do is I'll post your LinkedIn profile here in the chat so that interested participants can also connect with you and we can move forward. Yeah.
Sure. Great. So now we looked at the part of wherein we have we looked at 4 different cases of how it is happening. Now, the fundamental reason, the conversation that I wanted to have with this particular audience, because Naveen had shared the background with me on where all you come from, was particularly looking at the opportunity of investing in India. I think what the digital mindset is currently creating is an opportunity for all of you to come and invest in India or look at the option of investing in India. So currently, the first slide wherein I started, I think these are the fundamental issues that you would be facing when somebody tells you that, why don't you look at building an operation in India? So the fundamental reservation the moment we want to start is particularly in terms of, would I be able to look at how the particular operation is operating? Can I get a complete visibility of all the things that are happening on the plant? Do I see what kind of material they are buying, at what rate they are buying, how the procurement is happening, what is the profitability that they have planned for, and whether that particular profitability is being achieved or not? How do I ensure that people who are on the plant are working regularly and giving me the required output? How do we ensure that the client is getting what has been committed? So for all this particular part, what the technology would currently enable you is basically to get a very comprehensive idea of how things are moving. I'll give you another example of a particular the output that I will show you for a particular client. Okay. This is particularly for a company which was Indian company with a joint venture in a German collaboration, and together they were getting into pharmaceutical packaging. So the Indian entity was pretty strong on pharmaceutical packaging part. The German entity was into glass, and they had invested with this company, and they wanted to come up with one of the largest pharmaceutical packaging plant in the country. Now, same set of challenges that they were facing. This particular company was using a tool called Project, and using this, but it was at that point in time a server-based, it was a cloud-based tool, but a very limited access was offered to Short, and they were not very clear about how they would be able to look at the things correctly and look at the profitability. So what we did is that we implemented SAP in this organization, and while doing the SAP, we ensured that we are able to capture all the process-wise cost correctly. Now, this new plant was set up with an investment of around 600 crores, and for those 600 crores, there was obviously a huge amount of depreciation which was there. So the cost structure in the new plant was very different compared to the cost structure for the rest of the plants, which were practically very, very manual plants. And there were also old plants, so assets were practically depreciated. So we did a proper costing based on what is the manufacturing process that is followed in each of those plants. And based on that manufacturing process and the products that were getting produced in each of the plant, we came up with a specific cost structure, and then we agreed on that particular cost structure, multiplied by the material and the volume that we are getting. We identified what is the right cost of the product that they are producing. Now, the moment this particular product data sheet came in and the product costing was established, the entire management was basically shocked. I'll tell you the reason what was happening there. They had a South African client to whom they were exporting almost about 12% of their production. And this client was an excellent paymaster. So the moment you basically tell them that, okay, the material is ready and we are shipping it, they will immediately make the payment. Because they were making payment and there were a very good amount of orders that were coming from them, these people were very happy, diligently producing the required quantity for them and selling. But when we did this analysis, what they realized is that for this particular client, they were actually selling 12% of this entire production at 2% loss. They never realized that the costing for that particular product was much higher with the specific requirement that particular client had compared to what was their selling price. And that was almost about 12% of their production. They were paying good. The order was taken at some point in time when the requirements were low. Over a period of time, the cost structures increased, the cost increased, right? Nobody went back to them and negotiated the price. The price remained the same, their cost structure already changed, and it was resulting in 2% loss for the entire lot. These are the kind of things that can happen the moment you have this data and what we can bring in. From a mindset perspective, what I have seen, and I believe that it would actually work well for you when you look at implementing a system and when you would like to look at the investment in India, these are the factors. I believe that for a successful transformation and for you to have some viable stakes which are going to give you the right returns into the Indian businesses, and for you to get that transparency and the complete data visibility of your investments in India or the companies that you would be investing in India, the first thing wherein there are good chances of success is when there is a trust. In India, you have been part of the setup, you have studied here, so you understand this thing well, that people value trust far more. You need the ability to listen to what people have to say. You need to be transparent from your end for them to be transparent with you. And the approach has to be collaborative. And the communication method is also needs to be assertive, not a dictate. The moment you basically change particular this tone, then the conversation changes. I'll give you a very classic example of one of the largest company for whom I had done a project wherein these things only led to a success. This was for a company called Bajaj Electricals, one of the largest FMCG companies in India. They have a plant in Kosi, which is very close to Mathura. And this is a classic Mathura kind Hindi heartland belt. People will talk in Hindi. Shuddha Hindi is the part, they can use Oracle, they will use system, but the whole conversation will happen in Hindi. Now, 3 times the local Oracle team and even Bajaj's own Oracle team had gone there, and they were not able to get the Oracle manufacturing implementation done correctly. So during our audit, we had identified that as a red flag that the company has to work. Irritated with us, the IT fellow gave us a challenge that if you really feel that that can be done, why don't you go and do that? Okay. So I went to this particular plant. I stayed in this plant for a week. Now the first thing they were wondering, idhar se aaya, abhi aayega, fir baat karega. So I did nothing. I basically kept moving around the plant, meeting with them, discussing them with a couple of days, understanding what they had to look at it. And this particular part, then I realized that there's a only gap between the two was that they were trying to explain the things in their way, whereas the classical English-speaking Oracle team was not really willing to listen to what they had to say. So I understood their requirement, looked at what the challenges that they're facing. We identified the gaps and then we went back for checking. The Oracle team said, okay, this is something that is not possible. You do that and get it done. We did that configuration change, and within a month's time, this entire plant was running successfully on Oracle. I worked with them for 3 more months to ensure that there was a follow-up and they were able to get the results in time. But you need to believe in those particular people, agree with them, collaborate with them, and communicate positively, saying that ki aap kar lo, main baitha hu. That gives a lot of parts in that ki nahi, aapko karna hi hai. That's a word. The failure for the digital transformation in India have been 2. One is that a lot of places people have got that as a dictate ki aapko karna hai without understanding why it needs to be done. And because people don't understand the why, they find it very difficult to collaborate. The second part that you see is the solution gap. A lot of times you go to, there is a tendency in India to implement a system which somebody else has implemented. Unhone implement kiya, hum bhi kar lenge. But is it really related to your business? Or are there any particular gaps? If that solution is not meeting sufficient amount of your requirements, your operation team will find it very difficult to implement. And that's when the failures happen. The third and a very critical part is how do you manage the change? There are a lot of youngsters in the organizations who would find it very easy to look at the system. They will start looking at the system, start putting in the data, and they would get comfortable in no time. The old timers will find it difficult. The moment everything has to be entered in system and it is visible to everybody, unko lagta hai ye to data pehle mere paas hi tha. The owner had to come to me to ask this particular information, or anybody within the organization had to come to me for getting this information. Now it is available to everyone. So am I losing my significance in the organization? Is the kind of fear that they generate. So if you mitigating, helping them understand that it is not about changing them, replacing them, taking care of their fear, helping them overcome that fear is very critical for you to ensure that that particular individual is aligned to system implementation and you are able to build on his experience to make that system far better. And the final and the most important bit is communicate. It's very important that the management maintains a proper flow of communication throughout the implementation phase to ensure that you keep on communicating why the particular change is happening, how it is happening, what are the implications of that particular part, and how it's going to make life easier for everyone. These are the parameters which are extremely critical for any implementation to happen successfully. This is the conversation. These are the points that I wanted to share with you. I hope that this basically helps you appreciate how changing that particular mindset at operational level or at the promoter level can help companies use technology. And I believe that this change in technology will give you the confidence that this is the time for you or the right time for you to look at investing in India or exploring the opportunities for you to build something with the local partners here in India.
Sure, and the floor is now open for questions. In case if anybody has a question, you can unmute yourself and start asking them. Okay, just to remind, I have already pasted Charudatta's LinkedIn profile in the chat window. So feel free to send a connection invite to him.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yep.
We can hear you.
Yeah, Yeah, Charadatta wonderful presentation. Just had a quick question in terms of from a historical perspective, how are things today in this decade or in the last few years, or you can even characterize, pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, about the headwinds or tailwinds in terms of the topic that you've spoken about. Do you see any effect, historically speaking, in terms of how open it is, or how restrictive things are, and so on and so forth?
Sure. So it's a pretty popular joke around, and you would have also heard this, that the biggest driver for digital transformation has been COVID, and that definitely applies to Indian context as well. So there are to be very honest with you, there are two set of situations, that pre-COVID and post-COVID are the two very distinct situations that exist. COVID, when it compelled people to use technology, it compelled people to let specific functions operate from home, because there were only few people who could come to the plant, and people got used to this concept of working from home. So particularly for the entities which are closer to the metros, working from home, operating from a remote location, this thing became pretty common during the pandemic, and a significant amount of owners have continued this particular trend of letting people operate from different locations. So that is purely from a manpower perspective. What has also happened during pandemic is that a lot of times the OEMs, particularly the large enterprises, have started letting their teams operate from home, and they also let the people connect with the different vendors virtually. So in certain large corporations in India, people are not very keen on the different kind of vendors coming and meeting them in office. So they said, why do you really need to travel this many kilometers to come to my office? Why can't we just go and connect with Teams? So that trend of connecting over the different platforms like Zoom and Zoom or Teams to or Meet to have the basic conversation is continuing. So that is one part which is impact which still continues to be pretty evident in the industry in terms of communication part. So meetings to a large extent are currently happening online. Still few of the meetings do happen online. So this thing happens. Now purely when I look at the technology, what has changed is companies have now realized that there is really no way for them to retain a talent or get a reasonable talent if they don't have a system. If you want youngsters to come and work with you, you can hold them in your firm only if you have a proper system and a complete visibility with them. The kids who have studied during the pandemic era, who have graduated in that particular part, are so much used to technology that if you go and ask them to write registers to put in data, that is not going to happen. So a lot of mid-sized companies are currently compelled to get into the data, into implementing systems. So that is when you would see a lot of traction in India currently for the particularly systems like Zoho, or even the smaller systems like Strategic ERP and all. You would see a lot of traction happening on that part. Solutions like Microsoft Dynamics or SAP Beyond are also finding a newer traction in the country, because the mid-sized companies are also going for this kind of part, and also there is a good opportunity in the market for re-implementation and reconfiguration of those solutions also. The other trend which is happening in India currently is about companies getting listed, or particularly for SME IPOs. So whenever the companies want to look at SME IPOs, they have to by default have the systems in place. So this is another traction which is driving the digital changes, digital transformation part. The other option that is, which is very positive trend and a very encouraging trend in the market, is whenever the second generation is coming in. So most of the places, whenever we have the Indian entrepreneurs, the first generation, typically they would have ensured that their kids go and study either in the premium institute, or usually they have studied abroad. Now, when these kids have studied there, they want to come back and operate in family business, they are not going to operate with manual systems. So they would need a proper system to work. And this is another place wherein another very effective driver of getting systems in place. The parents, father or mother, also realizes that if I need to get my son or daughter into business, I need to let them go with a proper system. So you don't really get a very high budget, or they won't just open up the wallet to basically go and make an investment, but still they will start with implementing a basic system of getting the, say, things like SAP Beyond or Microsoft Dynamics to get implemented, get that particular system in, and after a particular while, then can go for SAP HANA and all. So that kind of traction is also very evident in India currently.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing yours.
Okay, there are no more questions in the chat window. And there is a comment from Srikar, excellent speakers and enjoyed the topics. Thank you, Srikar Garu, for joining. So I'll give a last call in case if you have any questions, probably we can take one more before we wind up. Okay, so if there are no questions, probably yeah.
Sure,
I'll
sure,
hand-
yeah. No, if there are no questions here, I would like to thank our eminent speaker, Ms. Charidatta ji, for such a detailed and insightful presentation. Actually, normally we heard like more like a digital mindset kind of these buzzwords, but really do not understand the inner details and also the implementation part, right? But definitely, Charuji, your in-depth, understanding, knowledge, and also presentation with different scenarios here, examples provided as the insights on the topic, and also definitely be beneficial to many of us. Again, right, once again, on behalf of JNTUH alumni, we thank you very much for your valuable presentation, and also thank you for taking time to educate us all on this topic. Thank you very much. Over to you, Naveen Garu.
Thank you, Charu Garu. And if there are any other people who have not introduced, probably we can go around the table. I believe we have pretty much covered. And with that, again, I'll hand over the baton back to Vishwa Garu. If you have any closing comments on any of the upcoming events other than the webinars,
Yeah,
please hear about them.
I just wanted that. Kumar Rani, who's our president, could not join us today because he's traveling. And I already mentioned that Sudhakar ji also could not join us. But otherwise, they're part of the executive committee who are ever present supporting such events. Vishwagar.
Yeah. Thank you, Praveen. Thank you, Naveen. And thank you for both the speakers today. You both are very eminent speakers on two diverse subjects. And we all benefited from both of you. One is how to start a company and how to run a digital company. So these two aspects are met and answered. And I thank you again, Chetudatta Garu and Sushma ji. I think she is not online, but we'll convey our thanks to her privately. And with this, we'll conclude today's meeting. And we always have these webinars, and we have JVenture, another activity where really some people who will be motivated by your like Sushma ji and yours, they can also come back to us whether they want to have any investment in that, and there they can get whatever help they need. And with this, I can conclude today's event. Thank you, Naveen. Thank you, Praveen. Thank you, Srinivas Garu. And thanks all the people who are around. And it's a nice Saturday. And Jaikar Garu and Spurti Garu and Chalam Garu, personal thank you for taking up questions. And your questions actually motivated us to hear more and know more perspective other than what we know through the speeches. Okay. With this, we'll conclude. Naveen, back to you.
All right. So thank you.
I have
Once again,
I have one question.
Yeah, Chalangar, please go ahead.
Yeah, so one question. I was introduced to JVentures in this WhatsApp group some time ago. Is there anybody I can talk regarding to get more information? Who can I talk?
Sure.
So we have Suresh Chapidi, who is basically and on the executive board. He's also the director for JVen. If you pass on your information, the chat. I'm driving right now. Naveen, if you don't mind, if you can take the information, we can pass it on. And by the way, just want to check, Chalamji, are you in the JNTUH alumni group?
I believe
the WhatsApp group?
Yes, that's how I learned about this webinar.
So Chalam
Okay.
Garu, if you don't mind, right? So Suresh Garu, he also lives in Florida. So we'll, I'll definitely let him know and pass on your information too. We can talk offline also. No problem. Definitely.
Yeah,
I'll help you there. Sure.
We can socialize. Anyway, you three can gang up, and please don't forget the people in New Jersey and Virginia.
No, thank you, Srinivasji, for taking that on.
Sure.
So basically, this year will be the 4th year we'll be doing JVN since we started. Definitely looking forward to participation and your proactive support to succeed, because it's a matchmaking opportunity between entrepreneurs and venture capitalists. So definitely looking forward to your contributions.
Awesome. No, that's fantastic initiative. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thanks, everyone.
Next session. And in case you have any specific topics to cover, please let me know. I'll be happy to scout for speakers.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Naveen. Great job.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, team.
Thank you. Bye, Spurti. Bye, everyone.
Oh, let the webinar committee be okay. Otherwise, okay. Okay. Thank you, one and all.